Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to the Joe Kersey being too lazy to put his 1080p camera up on the tripod to shoot this rather than using the 720p megapixel webcam on my mid-2014 MacBook Pro. God blesses everyone. On Tuesday, December 4th, 2018 at 19:30 in the evening, Eastern Time. It's always good to know where you are in time and place. Here on Allen Creek on the Island of Peace in southern Delaware County, Ohio. I'm having some Merlot, or as I more funnily like to pronounce it, Merlot. And I'm always reminded of that Cheech and Chong spoof movie, and I can't remember what the movie was. It was a spoof of one of these, westerns where the guys go into the bar and get in each other's faces and things. One of the guys says, "We don't need no stinking something or other." And then, then the spoof was, "We don't need no stinking Merlot." For some reason, I just always tickled the heck out of me. Still does. Some more barefoot wine, Merlot. Undiluted. I've got to make a beverage run tomorrow, and also I got to get some stuff from Walmart too, some grocery type items. Not a lot. I mean, I don't run through that much stuff anymore. And God bless old Liz and Henry sent over a splendid piece of beef last night, which was done just absolutely right. I mean, this was not over. I mean, there wasn't even a hint of overcooking. Maybe the tip a bit, but it was one of these tapered things. So inevitably, the tip's going to be a little more done than the body of the rest of the piece of meat. And it was very great and duly devoured and very greatly appreciated too. So thank you, Liz and Henry. I also want to thank my 2 or 3, actually 3 or 4 new subscribers I've gotten here in the last few days. I have been actually binge watching Shameless out of my series of standalone hard drives where I record the shows and I put them onto this. I've got 3 of the 1 terabyte, and I've got 2 4 terabyte hard drives now. Well, the 4 terabyte one's full too, so I'm starting to fill up the second 4 terabyte one. But I find this a very compelling show well, this is the first time I've rewatched it. Now I've watched Breaking Bad all the way through twice now. And I'm sure I'll do that again here, well, maybe not next month or so, but sometime this winter probably. Yeah, well, it's like House of Cards. I mean, the original English House of Cards, British House of Cards, with Ian Richardson. It's very compelling. Great music in it too, by the way. I'd like to get Better Call Saul. If it ever comes out on, when they finally get done with the series. I think it's been 4 seasons now, 4 seasons. When they finally get done with that, I think I may actually buy that set. because I was able to watch the first season, but it was so disjointed and hard to get that I couldn't really make heads or tails out of a lot of it. But the last episode here of season 4 was excellent and very startling and very dark. I mean, it's gotten progressively darker as well, of course, it's moving toward the start of Breaking Bad, isn't it? So that's a prequel. When they're done milking the franchise, I'm sure we'll know. Meanwhile, Bob Odenkirk is just eating it up, I'm sure. All right, now so I did Skype with Tony Pincham on Monday. There was just too much hectic activity going over at Ann's on Sunday to break the flow of events. But Tony and I, had as usual, we get talking, then we get laughing and carrying on, and maybe not quite to the ridiculous extent that Tony Ballman and I do, but we were getting back into good old form yesterday. So he's been wrapping presents, and he's in that kind of Christmas high. And I guess he's got some time this week that he can get his tree up and all the decorations up, and well, that's good because he likes this. I mean, it's great. I mean, I can't imagine putting that much effort into doing something over the course of a whole year. Meanwhile, what has been, we had a couple of nice warm days here this weekend. But it's back into the, high 20s and low 30s if you're lucky now for a while. We had a couple of little snow flurries spitting at us here today. I actually went down and got the mail today, which was the mail from yesterday, because the mail didn't come till 5:30, i.e. 17:30. And by that time, it's pretty much dark, so I'm not going to go down along the road to the mailbox when it's dark. Okay. I've been trying to watch a certain amount and read a certain amount about this various Brexit things going on. I watched a little bit of the Parliament Live today. I guess they're carrying on about this legal advisory that some EU outfit bloviated on about. I don't have a dog in this fight, but I think those of you who have watched me long enough know where my sympathies stand. It's with British sovereignty, period. Don't let those dudes over there tell you what to do. But, as I said, I don't have a dog in the fight. I merely watch from afar. I don't even have a bet down. Okay, well, let's see. I read, as I said, I read in church on Sunday, as I mentioned the other day, and I mean, I have to say, I have to admit that my physical, sort of, pain status has been kind of grim here for the last couple of days. But starting around about 10:30 this morning, 11 o'clock, it got pretty decent. So, I haven't had to take any, how should we say, additional things. So, because I don't know how much of this is exacerbated by my staying awake to read Cromwell. I should be able to finish this thing off in about 3 more nights. And then, of course, I'm going to reread Cranmer. I'm surprised he hasn't brought out a second edition of Cranmer. That might be the next thing that's going to come out. So I'm reading, I think I may have mentioned I'm reading on the 16th. I'm reading on the 30th. Don't know who's reading on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I don't think I'm going to go looking for trouble. I'd be glad. If they want me to read, I'll read, but I'm not going to go asking to read on those days. Maybe I will. No. So that's going to be it. Yeah, I really owe it to my new subscribers to do all this on the 1080p camera. For the most part in the future. Yeah. Well, sometimes you just have to do sometimes you have to just do what you have to do to get a video up. It's like the pros always say, people say, what's the best camera to use? And the pros always say, the one you have with you, that's easiest to use if you're, just wanting to get something done. So, there, see, I'm being a pro. And as we always say here on the Joe Kersey channel, a pro does what he has to do what he has to do. That was sort of my motto during my medical life. Didn't matter how you felt. Didn't matter what state you were in. You did what you had to do to go in and do what you had to do. Properly. That's like in parentheses. But you get the gist. So there was there was one other thing left over from the weekend. I had to do a bunch of I had to pay a couple of online bills this morning. I wrote my homeowner's insurance bill. It was like $880. That's $110 more than last year. Basically it's fire insurance. Gosh. Okay, well, so thank God I can do it. Interesting thing about this, when I was 15, I came home, I was involved in Explorer Scouts, and it was with a conservation group. And we'd been up in Dayton helping at one of these conservation shows, county conservation shows, convention. And I came home and I found that my folks' house had been robbed. Uh, you know, a lot of things taken, cameras, guns. Uh, wasn't vandalized, fortunately. Uh, I said to my dad, I said, "Well, you got some insurance on that, don't you?" He says, "I don't have any insurance at all in this house." I said, "Not even fire insurance?" He says, "Nope." Well, that was an eye opener. Well, thank God they didn't set the place on fire. So that was $880 I wrote, and then there was one other thing I had to do today. Oh, it's some. Oh, I was dealing with well, some waterline insurance stuff, which if I could just hang on for another 20 some days, I'll be able to use the waterline insurance to pay for this repair that's going to be happening out front here. But so far, there's no obvious, there's no obvious thing coming up to the surface, which doesn't mean that it's not happening. I understand there's ways they can find that stuff once they know it's between point A and point B. Far more clever folks than I on that one. Okay. Well, and then of course tomorrow we're going to have the day of national mourning for President H.W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, or Bush 41, as some people call him. I always have a kind of a fond spot in my heart for this guy. He just should never have said, "Read my lips, no new taxes." He shouldn't have said that. If he had, it's nice if you can keep that promise, but once you break that's nailed him. And Ross Perot's third-party candidacy also basically helped nail him. So I think if Perot had kept his nose out of it, and it was just Clinton and Bush, I think Bush would have probably won, despite going back on the tax pledge. But I think Perot got. I don't know how many electoral votes. I don't know if Perot even got electoral votes. But he shifted a lot of the popular vote in states that otherwise would have gone solid way to Bush. Yeah, well, it was like when that Anderson, that Illinois Congressman Anderson ran against Reagan, and I was it in 84 or 80. Well, it was one of those 2 years, and he didn't shift that much popular vote, but he was always kind of a wild card that made people, made the pundits get all in a tizzy. So I want to try to watch some of the funeral tomorrow. I was going to be at the National Cathedral. See who speaks. See how what service they use. It's an Episcopal service, so I imagine they'll probably use. I'm interested to see if they use the Rite 2 or the Rite 1 service. Or if they just do something else entirely. But I doubt seriously they'll do something else entirely. since these folks have been going to the Episcopal Church for, pretty much all their life. And say what you want about the U.S. Episcopal Church. It can be, out to lunch on a lot of stuff, but if they want to do liturgy right, they can do it right. If they don't, then they can really half-ass it. But any church can do that. Yeah, I like the guy. And I always thought for the longest time, well, he should have just gone and continued that war and finished off Saddam Hussein right then when he had the chance. And then, of course, you realize, this guy's been in war. He knew what it was like for people to be in war, and for families that have men that die in war or women that die in war. And he didn't want to prolong that. And he had achieved the stated goals, and so he stopped. And so one way or another, we've reaped the whirlwind of that for, since, for good or ill. Well, I had a great deal of respect for the guy. Plus he's just, he doesn't act like a fucking stoop. He doesn't act like a thug. He knew how to behave, He knew how to be civil to people and not demean them like our current. I have a lot of time for President Trump's policies, but I don't really have a lot of time for him personally. But you always had a lot of time for President Bush personally, even if you didn't like his policies. And there's a difference. So. All right, now I'm done. Mercifully.